Hi, I'm Jenny from the Missouri Star Quilt Company. Welcome to part 6 of Home is Where the Haunt Is. This is a wall hanging we're working on, and this is the block we are concentrating on this week. This is the pumpkin block, and it's just darling and so easy. So what you're going to need to make this is a background piece of fabric that is 7 by 20 inches. And I've used black and this kind of brownish color. I've also done one in beige, and you can see this one is done with this pretty little orange dot. So cute. So use your imagination and have fun with that. For your pumpkins, you're going to make 4 of them, and you're just going to need some scraps. So it's just going to be orange scraps, and then you'll need a little bit of green scraps for your stem, very little actually. One of the things that they suggest using is felt, which I think would be darling. I don't happen to have any felt, so I just had this little scrap of green, and it's going to work great. So again, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to take your pattern, and you're going to need to trace your pumpkins on heat and bond. Again, the heat and bond is the bumpy side is the side that you want to place down on the back of your fabric. And so you can see on the pumpkins right here, you can see they all have a number and an arrow. This is really important that when you trace them, you actually trace around your pumpkin like this, and then write that number on there. So I'm just going to trace this to show you. Like this, and then I'm going to write a number 3 on here, and I'm going to put the arrow the way the arrow is pointing, and I know that this now is the top of the pumpkin, and that's going to really help me with placement. Now I have some of these I've already ironed on and trimmed out over here, and we are basically just going to place them on our piece of cloth. This is the way the block's going to look, and so we are just going to, here's a number 1 and a number 2, the arrow goes up, and this arrow goes up this way. And let me see, I did several of these pumpkins because I just wanted them to all have a different look to them. And you want to make sure that you move them in far enough from the edge so that they don't get caught when you're sewing the seam of your block together. So I'm just going to lay these over a little bit like this, and then put this guy on here. And once I know that my placement is right, then I'm going to peel the paper off and then carefully place them back so that we know where they go. Once you get that paper off, they lay down much nicer. So you can either roll your edge like this, or you can score the back. So you can take your scissor and just score it like this, and it will tear a little place in here, and then it comes off really easy, and it gives you a little hole to get your finger in there to get it off. So we're just going to put this on like this. Wait, make sure that I have these go in the right direction, and then I'm going to turn this guy a little bit. I think I check all my edges to make sure that I'm not too close to any of the edges, and I'm going to carefully lift this and slide it over to my ironing board, and then I'm just going to put my iron down and make sure that they stay right down there. I love heat and bond. It's such a lifesaver. All right, so now we have our little fabric piece with our pumpkins on, and we need some little stems. Now I already have a piece of heat and bond ironed on here from a previous project, so you'll just want to iron a little bit of heat and bond on. Then what we're going to do is I'm just going to kind of cut a square like this and maybe curve in one side a little bit, and that's going to make a really easy, quick little stem of my pumpkin. And I will get the backing off that. And you can see there it is, just like that. And I will iron those on in a second too. So I'm going to cut a few more of these, maybe like just quickly. And we're going to stitch all around these, so it doesn't really, it's really okay if they're just laying right on the top of this fabric. Let me get those off of there. He doesn't want to leave. All right, there's that stem, and one more stem here. And aren't you amazed that I got that many stems out of that little tiny piece? Just takes a very little bit to make those stems. All right, Again, I'm going to put my little stems on, I'm going to slide this over, and I'm going to touch the iron on all of those just to make sure that they stay right where I want them. All right, so let's talk about now what we have to do is we have to stitch around these pumpkins. Something that's going to hold them on all the time. I like to do a blanket stitch, and that's this little stitch right here. You can see it just barely pokes a little stitch in and goes all the way around. And this one I've done in black. On the quilt here, you can see that some of these they've done with a zigzag that's almost a satin stitch, but not quite. So really, any kind of stitch that you want to use to applique on here, you can. You could even straight stitch right around them. I've seen that done as well. And when you do that, you will have your pumpkin block all finished. So that's just as easy as pie to do. The next thing you're going to do on this block is you're going to make these little yo-yos, and we are going to talk about those yo-yos in the last lesson where we do all of our fun embellishments we're going to do in that last lesson. So don't fret, we'll get to the yo-yos. So thank you for joining us for part 6 of Home is Where the Haunt Is.